What's up, guys? So we have left Grandfather Campground. After 6 months, we have left. And so now we've decided that we need to do a review video for those guys. What you have to understand is we were there for 6 months. We were there for the onset of the coronavirus, and we were there through them actually having to shut down the campground to any short-term rentals. So we were able to stay there because we were there for more than 30 days. So we've seen them in the best of times, in the worst of times, and these guys were great the whole time.
I was going to say, even though this is going to be a review on it, I do want to say to them that we are so thankful. In a way, I feel like we became family in that time there. And when everything seemed so crazy and we were unsure of what was going to happen, we knew that we were safe there with them, and they allowed us to stay. So we're really thankful for that. And I already miss it, honestly.
It kind of became like home to us, I actually told somebody the night before we left, I said, this is almost like waking up home for the second time leaving here. Somebody's learning to walk and extending his vocabulary right now, too, so he really enjoyed it. So in this video, you're going to see a lot of footage of the campground. Great campground, and this is just us letting you know what we thought of it. So enjoy. Start out, we started out there the beginning of February into January, and we were there through the end of July. So we saw several seasons while we were there. We started out down at the lower part of the campground, which is right on the river. Really beautiful sight, lots of shade in the summertime. In the wintertime, or wet season, it can be a little kind of, I don't know if I'd say nerve-wracking. You can get nervous because if we get hard rain, that river rises and you start worrying, is it going to stay in its banks? Because we've actually seen it come out of the banks before. So that was kind of one of the things we had to worry about. Never once did it come out of the banks.
It got to the very top, and that was the highest.
And Shane and some of the other maintenance guys there had actually said they've done some work to try and keep it from coming out of the banks. Because like I said, it's done that before. So whatever they did obviously worked, because we got a lot of rain one time. I think it rained for like a week straight. And I was actually getting up in the middle of the night to check the river, and it never came out of the banks. So probably just a little false nervousness on our part. But again, really beautiful. You're right across from a dog park there, so if you got dogs, awesome place to go run the dogs.
If you're using the Wi-Fi for this campground does have Wi-Fi. It's free. If you're down at the bottom, you're right across from it, so you have better signal than being at the top.
Yeah, definitely. And you're right across from the store there, so.
The office. So, our honest opinion on it, when we first got there, it was the middle of winter. It was rough. The spots aren't huge. They're not tiny, but they're not huge. So you're kind of on top of each other. When there's people there, in the winter, there's not a whole lot of people. But Elias was just starting to get mobile, and the spot that we were in was almost all rocks. We didn't have grass, so it was kind of always muddy.
Yeah.
Always icy. So we had actually asked to get moved up to the top. So our first time down at the bottom, we weren't really huge fans, but our second time...
Yeah, the second time we fell in love with the site because there was so much shade. There was so much shade that it would actually start raining, and you'd see everybody else around us that was having a fire or whatever running inside because it was raining, and we had so much tree cover over our site that we didn't even know
it
was
didn't
raining.
even make the fire go out. Yeah, I mean, the people right beside us were having to take cover, and we were just hanging out, roasting marshmallows, like, who cares? It was an amazing spot for when it got warmer and drier. It had a lot of shade. You have the sound of the river, which is great. You know, you open your windows, you go to sleep to that. You sit by the fire, you're literally right at it. The only downfall of that is it's loud because you've got the river.
It can be, so. Yeah. But all in all, really enjoyed it down there. We spent 2 different times up there. The first time in the winter, like I said, Elias was getting mobile. We wanted to have plenty of room for him to move around. Up there at the top, you've got this huge meadow that you'll see in the videos, and that was really awesome for him to get to crawl around in and learn to crawl around in. And then the second part, we were in another site up top there. Things about being up top. In the winter, it is windy, and that's just a given. You're in the mountains, and it gets really windy up there. So pay attention to the wind and the weather, because there's going to be nights you need to bring the awning in. You can't have it out because you'll lose it. But that's just part of being in the mountains of North Carolina. It gets windy. Pros of being up there.
The view.
The view. And this is something we didn't realize at first, is just how awesome the view was. looking down through. You're kind of looking down 105, but it's kind of in like this valley between Grandfather Mountain and some other mountains. And you're looking down that valley, and it's a really nice panoramic view. You get some really awesome sunrises and sunsets up there.
The sunrises I loved. The space. There's more space between the people beside you.
Yeah.
You actually have grass areas, and then where we were at, we had grass on the side, but then you have the whole meadow behind you, just like we had before.
Yeah.
So that was awesome too.
So a little bit more space in the sites up top.
One thing we did not really enjoy was there's no shade. There's literally no shade. There's a few spots that have them based on where you're going to be. Like his parents, they had a couple trees and some shade there, but it was straight sun, so it was hard on the trail or hard on the air. But we made it. You know, the awning came out and helped. And honestly, as much as I thought I was going to dislike being up there and away from the water, I think it was my favorite spot.
I think it turned out to be my favorite spot. And when we say hard on the air, the air just ran a lot.
Yeah.
One thing about this campground, your utilities and everything are included, so the air running all day doesn't really affect your cost, which is really awesome if you're up there in the spot where there's not a lot of shade and your air is going to run a lot.
Yeah.
So something to keep in mind. Like I said, I'm sure there's some cons to the air running all day. I'm sure it's not healthy for it, but you know, that shouldn't affect your desire or anything about those spots. There's still great spots. Like I said, there's a lot of room in them. So
and up top, I feel like there seemed to be more people moving around, and we interacted with more people. At the bottom, you know, there were people that talked to you, but up top, they're more interactive, I guess.
You've got a lot more full-timers up top.
Yeah.
And you'll notice that if you're ever in the campground, there will be sites that actually have decks and stuff built off of them. And if the people that are full-timers that are seasonal, I guess you'd call them, aren't there, and you get one of those sites, you've got a deck. We actually had a site with a deck
for the
for a
same
while.
price. All of those spots are the same price.
So another thing is pretty awesome. But yeah, the people seemed a lot friendlier, cordial.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, so at Grandfather Campground, this place literally has just about every amenity that you can think of. They have laundry rooms, they have shower rooms, they have cabins, and they've got some really cool cabins that they just built in the last year or two. And then while we were there, they were putting new roofs on some of the cabins and putting a new deck on one of the cabins. In terms of the sites, they've got full hookups with sewer, 30 or 50 amp. They've got tent sites. You've got water on those sites. Full hookups, you got water too. They've got tent sites with power and water, no sewer. They've got just your primitive tent sites. I think we covered the cabins.
The tent sites are some that are in the meadow that are just straight in the field.
Yeah. If it's a large group, if you're having like a family reunion, they're going to put you in this big meadow, which is cool. And you're all in one big congregated area.
There's some wooded area tent sites, and then there's some river tent sites, and it's not where the RVs are. It's up top on a different section of the water, the creek.
Yeah. But then some of the things that you've got around this campground, you're about 10 minutes from Banner Elk. You're probably about 15, 20 minutes from Boone. You're right at the base of Grandfather Mountain. And when I say right at the base, you're at the base to where part of the campground is actually uphill. So literally at the base of it, you're at the beginning of the Watauga River. Great trout fishing there. Then you're right up the road from the Profile Trail, which we did the video on last week. So lots of neat stuff to do and explore. Like I said, Banner Elk's a really neat town. Boone is Boone. I mean, it's got its nice, neat things about it, but it's more of your city, whereas Banner Elk's more of like your little town. But great access to hiking trails and fishing and state parks.
Yeah, it's right beside a fishing pond.
Yeah, it's right next to... Does it have a name?
I don't know, but you go there and you pay for what you catch. So.
Yeah, it's all stocked trout, and they're all big trout, and you pay by the pound for what you catch, and then you have to keep what you catch.
The water at the campground, you can fish. It's a private one, so you can fish on it if come on. You can fish on it if you're camping there.
Baby coming through.
It's either the baby or the dogs all the time. Okay. The bathrooms, I know this sounds silly, but I know, like me, a lot of people will look into things like that. The bathrooms are really nice.
And endless hot water.
Yeah, they have what, I think 3 of them on the property. They're really, really nice. And I didn't go inside and take pictures of them because that's weird. But they really are, and they're pretty well kept up.
They do, yeah. And the staff there does a really good job of keeping the place cleaned up. And taking care of you. If something breaks or something happens, even if it's not their issue, they'll come help you. I've never had anything where the guys just said, well, it's not our problem. They're always more than willing to help, and always really friendly.
And we will give a shout out to Brandy and Shane and Jamie, and I don't know the other guy's name, but they were amazing to us. Brandy is the owner, and they did everything. I mean, I don't have any complaints on them at all.
I mean, they went out of their way.
Really nice.
They went out of their way for us several times. Like I said, we asked to move the one time. And
several times. I think we moved 4 times while we were there.
Yeah, we moved several times while we were there. And a couple of those, and most places they would have been like, well, you're kind of being a pain. And it wasn't it wasn't an issue at all for them. And like I said, we were there through the beginning of the pandemic and everything, and we were there when they had to shut down, and things were probably really stressful for everybody there. So, and never once could you feel any tension or anything. The guys were working every day, even though there was only about 10 of us in the park.
So the winter is going to be pretty slow, except for when people are coming in to go skiing and stuff like that up the mountain. The summer, make sure that you plan ahead and you get reservations ahead because they are busy. Yeah,
it fills up quick. But I definitely would highly recommend Grandfather Campground.
It's our favorite so far.
Well, and we can honestly say that. Granted, we haven't been doing this for long, but we were camping and visiting campgrounds long before all of this started. And in terms of the atmosphere and the hospitality of the place,
views,
it's bar none. So definitely, if you're going to be in the area and you're interested in camping, definitely check them out. Well, guys, I hope y'all enjoyed the views that we got, and I hope you get a chance to really go up there and visit Grandfather Campground. If you do, tell them hi for us, and tell them that you
heard about them from Nomadic Trio.
And we don't get anything for that.
No,
there's no kickbacks or anything. Want to say hi? Because we're like that. So guys, again, if you get a chance, make sure you go check it out. Make sure you hit the subscribe button below. Turn on the bell notification so you get those notifications whenever we post new videos. And we're on the road. So
Yay!
we'll be back next weekend. We'll see you guys later.